Philip Hudkovic asks if I have any advice for people with long legs trying to improve their squat. Well, Philip, I do actually, and I believe that low bar is gonna automatically improve it because you see when you have long legs, let me set this up right here, and you're doing a typical high bar squat. I don't know if you can, high bar, you have to squat kind of like this, you know what I'm saying? So look at that big range of motion, and here you're parallel, okay? Now, if I'm low bar, right, I'm setting up here, and look at that, boom, you can already see it. Look at this angle, and look at this range of motion too. So, boom, like this is your low bar. Okay, basically, from here to here, there's really no, it's not, you know what I mean? Like a little bit of hip hinge, and you're like posterior chain's working, but it's not nearly as hard as like when you're squatting and like you're already loading up those quads so much. So from here to here, you're not really loading your quads up at all, and then it's just drop. So you can see the difference, because I have long legs too. And when I switch from high bar to low bar, right, so much easier, world of difference. So first of all, that's the main thing, is learning how to low bar squat. Then, something that I think, because I have long legs, so I'm just speaking from experience, something that really helps develop my leg power. Obviously, I love doing deadlifts and deadlift variations and stuff, but that's not what I'm gonna talk about here. But trap bar deadlifts, I think, are money as well. But is that gonna directly improve your squat? No. Whereas going from high bar to low bar will. But we're talking about things that to make you jack, stack, juicy, downright succulent. I love lunges of all forms. Reverse lunges, walking lunges, and then doing, this is what I wanted to demo here, like a lunge. So basically, if I have any space here, let's say typical lunge, right, is people go pretty wide, boom, and here, boom, and however you want to do it, or here, boom. When you lunge like that, you feel it a ton in your glutes and hamstrings, that glute hamstring tie-in. But my quads are smoked today because this is how I lunged yesterday. Short step. So basically here, boom. See that? Boom. All right, so I was doing walking lunges of that style. There's no room in my garage, but it basically looked like this. Short. Short. So it's almost like, I mean, look at that. Look at that. That's boom. That's the one. Really, you're doing like a modified single leg squat, really. But ultimately, we're talking about ways to improve the squat when you are long-limbed, long-legged. And while different lunge variations are gonna build the legs, which will theoretically make you be able to squat more weight, really, specificity is the key. So to improve the squat, you gotta just squat and do different degrees of how can you change the squat. So I said low bar is going from high bar to low bar, if you're not already doing that, that's already gonna improve your squat, right? Especially if you like deadlifts a lot, because low bar squatting is very posterior chain dominant, and deadlifts are all posterior chain dominant too, so if you have a very strong deadlift, you're gonna have a strong low bar squat. But box squats are also good, whether they're high boxes or low boxes. Box squats with low bar, I don't like that. So I like doing high bar box squats, and then it's just a matter of the depths, changing the depths of the box. But really between those things, like I don't need to give you too many suggestions, but changing the low bar, doing high bar, different degrees of box squats, narrow stance, wide stance, doing different lunge variations. Like you should have pretty freaking developed legs. And take it from somebody that's done all this kind of stuff through years and years, because I've also gone through phases where I'm like, man, it's just, I want to give something a totally new training style. And I went to the gym and I did all the different leg press variations and squat machines and all that kind of stuff. And it's not gravy, because really the biggest factor when I went through this gym phase of like hitting machines, going balls to the wall with them, is that you just have no trunk strength, that core stability, trunk strength. And really, I think that's everyone's downfall for the most part. But that's also why doing low bar squatting is great, because you have a bar up on your neck, so you have worse leverage than if the bar is a little bit lower. It's closer to like the midpoint, the fulcrum or whatever. But that's my advice, dude. There's a million things you can do in terms of trying things out, right? You can do like You can do like explosive squat jumps, right? You can do weighted box jump. I mean, like all that BS, right? Like a million things. You can do the different machines. You can do glute ham raises to try to strengthen your posterior chain. You can do single leg squats. You can do step ups. Like, I'm just listing everything you can do. The list goes on and on and on, but I think that the most bang for your buck is doing heavy, different variations of lunges, and then just different degrees of box squats, different heights of the box squat. And ultimately, when you're going for the big squat max, just doing low bar with that. I think that's going to be the best way for you to progress with that. But of course, like I said, then you know, like you can do it. You can do a million different of the leg press variations, and you can do all your, you know, extra volume and your mega drop sets and try to build your muscle mass and all that. But like, how is that really going to carry over to the squat, improving your squat in the grand scheme of things? And I don't think it will. I think the instant fixes are the high bar to low bar. And then also, if you're not doing flexibility stuff, I think you got to do that. You got to stretch out your ankles. You got to stretch out your hamstrings and your glutes and your adductors, like your groin. Because if those things are all tight, they're going to limit your squat as well. Especially if you're long limbed and you have tight ankles, like your squat's going to be awful. So I hate how I just go on and on and on with one answer, but I think that's, I just brainstorm as I answer the question. And I think that's going to be the most bang for your buck is increase your mobility, switch to low bar squatting, and for your assistance work, heavy lunges to work the hamstrings and the glutes when you're doing your wide stance, and then doing the narrow stance for the quads. But also something else you can do, another assistance movement that'll help with mobility, is Bulgarian split squats. Because when you have your foot back on a bench, let's set this up for you here. Bulgarian split squat, you put your foot back like that. I don't know. You can't see anything, but basically you put your foot back, right? And you squat like that. Well, that back foot, when you squat down, should stretch out your quads and your hip flexors, and that'll open up your hips. And when you can loosen this up, you'll be able to use your glutes better. Jean-Marc Johnson wants to know how you can get big, thick, meaty abs. And he's doing all the compound lifts, and he's doing the front squats, trying to work his trunk that way. And he wants to know which deadlift variations and how he should go about the reps and the sets to get the big, thick, meaty abs. Well, listen here, Jean-Marc John. There's not going to be a right answer, but ultimately, there's different ways you can do things, right? So you can do like the suitcase deadlifts are going to work the hell out of your obliques, right? I mean, this is all part of the core trunk development, right? So you got your unilateral and stable deadlifts. Really, they're all going to, like, conventional deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, all work them to a degree, but like a Romanian deadlift should theoretically work them harder because you're at a big hip hinge, right? So you need more trunk stability involved because your trunk's going to be here, whereas like a conventional deadlift, especially a sumo deadlift, like you're directly upright. But something else that's, so I would say suitcase deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, Zercher deadlifts are kind of unique in the sense of try doing a heavy like Zercher farmer's walk, or like Zercher, just even like a carry in any sense, or just like unrack it and just hold like isometric Zercher hold. Like you're going to feel that a ton in your abs. But really, because they're all really big compound head movements, they're all going to work your abdominal development. But like, is it going to work it as hard as doing like hanging leg raises? I don't know. I don't know if, like, yes, deadlifts and squats and stuff work your abdominals, but like, I don't think you're going to get like total, like as good of an ab workout as if you did that stuff and then just threw in some like, I don't know, like weighted planks, weighted hanging leg raises, the wheel, the ab wheel, like that kind of stuff. Just different ways to hit them. And that stuff shouldn't take a long time anyways. So like my garage is absolute filth. But years ago, I had the hanging leg raise straps, and you can do them without straps too. But for whatever reason, the straps is just easier to do them weighted, in my opinion. I did those. My back always felt really good. I had an ab wheel at 1.2, just stretched the hell out of the abs, great for the development. And then I like doing like side planks before doing my heavy like deadlifts and stuff too. Just get the obliques firing, because strong obliques are important for keeping your torso upright, or important for fighting that torso flexion, that rounding of your lower back. But in terms of you're talking about reps and sets, I mean, obviously your abdominals are like any other muscle group. Like they're not like calves, like slow twitch. I mean, even calves is slow twitch and fast twitch muscle fibers. So basically, like it's going to be a mixed bag of, you should do higher reps and lower reps, like max effort and in terms of high intensity, 1, 2, 3 reps, as well as like a set of 20 or something will work the hell out of your abdominals too. Just pushing the exhaust threshold, tapping into all the motor units. So it's all good in that regard, but I don't think there's anything like any secret bit in terms of like deadlifts and reps and all that kind of stuff to get you the most developed abdominals. I think if you just get really strong with compound free weights, like you're going to get a very developed core, as opposed to people that do like machines that don't use their core ever really to stabilize. But yeah, ultimately I think just doing a variation, right? And I think what I told you should be sufficient enough. Do Zerchers, do like unilateral, like suitcase carry, suitcase deadlift, and then just your conventional, right? Or Romanian deadlifts, conventional deadlifts. You probably do that stuff anyways, but I don't have a golden answer for you, but I think that that's going to be your best bet. I don't see what else you can do. I mean, then just sprinkle in a little bit of ab wheel or hanging leg raises or something, or even like weighted pull-ups. Like pull-ups in general work your abdominals a lot too. So I like doing deadlifts and always following up with pull-ups, because it kind of decompresses your back hanging, but then you're also getting that additional core work that you're not even really, it's 2 birds with 1 stone, right? Work your grip, work your arms, work your back, work your core. It's great. Giuseppe's got a question here about deloads. He says that he has made consistent gains for 4 months, and then his sleep started to get messed up, and then he couldn't sleep well, and he took a break from the gym, and his sleep got back to normal, blah, blah, blah. Wants to know if you should listen to the dweebs and the nerds about the scientific database about the deloads and the whatever, 4 or 6 weeks on, 1 week of deloading, blah, blah, blah. And I think it comes down to everyone's different, because listen here, I have gone years and years without taking days off. And now with my job and the traveling, sometimes I've been forced to take a week off here and there. And what I've noticed, it makes no difference for me. A lot of times when I come back, I actually feel weaker. Nervous system gets adapted to not lifting heavy and really pushing it. And I just hold on to the glycogen, the water stored. I like lose size, I lose strength. But I think that's also because like, I've been lifting long enough so that I know when I'm feeling fatigued and burnt out, I can feel it. And then I automatically just like regulate in the gym, and I'll do something fun that's not quite as taxing, maybe do pump work and stuff until I feel more at it. But I think the longer you're in it, the longer you're at this game of iron, the less you'll need to take big breaks like that, I guess, because eventually you plateau, right? Your body gets used to lifting X amount of pounds and all that, and it's just like you've been doing it for so long, it's like your job. Like a bricklayer can't just like, I got to take a week off, I'm fatigued. No, they got to keep doing it. Or they're going to die otherwise, you know what I mean? Like their body just adapts to it. And I know obviously lifting hundreds of pounds maxing out is not like laying bricks, but I think the thing is, you will adjust and you will adapt. But again, ultimately, you have to listen to your body. And if you're not sleeping for whatever reason and you feel terrible, you should probably pull it back and take a break. But just know that you adapt to everything, right? Some people lift twice a day, work out 3 times a day. If you're in a sport, you got to work out 3 times a day. If you got practice twice, and then you got, you know what I mean? What are you going to do? You adapt, right? Coming from an athlete, when I had to do that kind of stuff, I felt terrible at first and just exhausted. I couldn't even get out of bed, but eventually I adapted to it. And then it was easy. It was easy. And then it's like 1 workout a day. That's nothing. That's easy peasy. Of course I can do that, right? So you'll adapt to whatever you throw at your body. You will adapt.